For the longest time, Bitcoin miners were kind of the black sheep at the tech world. For a decade, they were written off as just volatile, capital hungry, totally dependent on energy, and frankly unscalable. They were never ever supposed to be a big deal in the age of AI. Well, that whole story is being completely rewritten. So let's get into it. This is the wild story of how this misunderstood industry found itself in the perfect spot for the AI revolution.
So here's the big question, right? If these companies were just a niche sideshow, why are the biggest names in tech, I'm talking the massive cloud providers like Microsoft and Amazon, suddenly showing up and signing multi-billion-dollar deals with them? What on earth do they have that nobody else has?
Well, the answer starts right here. The AI revolution feels like it's all just code and data, something intangible happening up in the cloud. But behind all that digital magic is a massive, real-world problem that's threatening to slow the whole thing down. And that problem is physical infrastructure, specifically getting enough power.
And the scale of this problem is just staggering. To keep the AI boom going, power demand from US data centers is set to more than double in just a handful of years. We're talking a jump from 21 gigawatts to 45 gigawatts by 2030. That is an incredible amount of energy. This explosion in demand has created what's basically a massive traffic jam for infrastructure. AI has this bottomless appetite for power, and the hidden crisis here is that our current systems just can't build fast enough to keep up. And here's why. Imagine you want to build a new data center today. Well, get ready to wait. This is the kind of timeline you're looking at just to get plugged in. Right now, the median wait time for a new power project in the US is 5 years, and in some places, it's more like 7 years or longer.
So let's be super clear about this. The main bottleneck isn't really our ability to generate more electricity. The real nightmare is the logistics and all the red tape involved in getting projects approved and physically connected to an already strained power grid. And here are the nitty-gritty details of that nightmare. You're dealing with grids that are already pushed to their limit, waiting years for essential gear like transformers, navigating these painfully slow permitting processes, and just a flat-out lack of sites that are ready to build on. Building a data center the old-fashioned way has become a total slog.
And this, right here, is where our story takes a wild turn. Because our unlikely hero emerges, the Bitcoin mining industry. For years, they were off in their own world, solving their own crazy challenges. And in the process, they accidentally prepared for this exact moment.
Just think back to that old story. People saw miners as simple hash factories, just competing on razor-thin margins. The whole business was seen as volatile, super expensive, and totally at the mercy of crypto prices. You definitely wouldn't have bet the future of AI on them.
But here's the beautiful irony. In their desperate search for cheap energy, just to survive, miners had to figure out how to operate at the absolute extremes of power infrastructure. And by doing that, they accidentally built the exact thing that the AI industry now desperately needs and can't build fast enough itself. So what does this accidental blueprint actually look like? Well, first, they didn't just find cheap power, they had to go out and lock down these massive long-term energy contracts. Then they had to build their own substations and grid connections, basically letting them skip the multi-year line. They became experts in the kind of high-density cooling AI needs, and they learned how to run these critical facilities around the clock, often in the middle of nowhere. That's their accidental edge. So now, with this incredible infrastructure already built, they're making a huge pivot. They're shifting from calculating hash rates for crypto to providing high-performance computing for the cloud. It's a hugely profitable move from mining digital coins to powering artificial intelligence. And why is this happening so fast? Well, it really boils down to one absolutely jaw-dropping number. AI workloads can bring in up to 25 times more revenue for every megawatt of power than Bitcoin mining can. A number like that changes an entire industry overnight. And just look at the difference here. On one side, you have the old Bitcoin mining model, volatile revenue, totally tied to crypto prices, super tight margins. And on the other side, stable, high margin, long-term contracts with literally the most creditworthy customers in the world. We're talking big tech. It's a no-brainer. Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But the proof, as they say, is in the pivot. And this isn't just a theory, it's really happening. Let's look at the billion-dollar deals that prove big tech is all in on these former crypto miners. And we are not talking about small pilot programs here. These are colossal deals. You've got Iris Energy with a nearly $10 billion deal with Microsoft. Cipher Mining, with a $5.5 billion agreement with Amazon. TeraWulf, with a deal worth almost $4 billion. These are foundational partnerships. This whole thing is such a fundamental shift. As one industry analyst put it so well, miners are no longer just Bitcoin miners, they're digital infrastructure providers. The entire market is having to rethink what these companies actually are.
So what does this all add up to? Something we can call a moat made of megawatts. This isn't just a short-term opportunity for them. It's a new strategic advantage that is incredibly difficult for anyone else to copy.
And this chart really shows why AI is such a different beast. See those slices for 30, 40, even 50+ kilowatts per rack? Your typical data center just wasn't built for that kind of power intensity. But for Bitcoin miners, this kind of high-density power and cooling has been their bread and butter for years. They're already set up for the future of AI. And in the business world, there's a name for this kind of uncopyable advantage. It's called an economic moat. It's a barrier that protects a company from competition. And these miners, well, they accidentally built a really powerful one.
And here's the real punchline. In a world obsessed with digital, the rarest, most powerful advantage you can have is a real-world physical one. It's an edge that even billions of dollars can't buy you overnight. You can't just throw money at a 5-year wait time to get on the grid. The miners already have that access.
And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As our world gets more and more digital, it's easy to forget about the physical stuff it all runs on. It makes you wonder, in a world that's constantly going digital, where's the next huge physical advantage hiding in plain sight?